What do you currently do when you feel angry, upset, or hurt? Because most of the times, the way we react to these negative emotions may not be healthy. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about how to release these negative emotions in the most healthy manner. Hi, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of Up It and the Actionables podcast. This is a new setup. Now, before I go ahead and discuss some practical ways on how to release negative emotions, I want to point out here that if you are someone who has experienced severe trauma, you may need more professional help. I encourage you to go get the help if you need it. So with that, I want to take you back to how I started working in the corporate sector. I started off my career with Google, and to say that it was an amazing workplace is saying the least. It had flexible work timings and amazing perks. I was straight out of college, excited, young, and that place taught me a lot. Fast forward to my second job, where I started working for Ogilvy and Mather, an advertising company. This is where I was introduced to a harsher working environment. Now, advertising, if you are not aware, can be a stressful job, especially for a young client servicing person. I experienced stressful client situations, internal conflicts with my team members. Let's just say that I didn't jump out of bed each morning to show up at work. I had severe anxiety, I was rude, sullen, and to say that I was overall not a happy person is putting it lightly. I remember several incidents where I was not good in managing my patience levels, was not good with my team members. And if you're wondering why I'm sharing this with you, is because I want to point out to you that at that point in time of my life, I was filled with negative emotions. I was angry, frustrated, stressed out, and bitter. Can you relate? Have you experienced a time in your life where you just feel like you are filled up with negative emotions? Comment below and let's chat. The result of all these negative emotions played out on my health. I was diagnosed with high BP, which is absurd for a 20-year-old. I wasn't great in my personal relationships, and most importantly, I wasn't great with myself. I wasn't at peace with myself and was in a very dark place emotionally. And now, as much as I would love to tell you that one fine day I had an epiphany and voila, I just turned my life around, but that would be a lie. Because after my second job at Ogilvy, I moved on to another advertising company called McCann, where I experienced a milder form of the same negative experience, but I still did. But that's on me because I chose to do that. I thought a different job, a different company would help. If you're wondering how did I finally manage to release those negative emotions, I'm going to share that in a bit. But before that, I have to share something with you which gave me a new perspective on how I viewed negative emotions. And here it is. Negative emotions aren't bad, especially if we know how to navigate them. Popularly, we are all conditioned to believe that if you think negative thoughts, if you have negative emotions, that must mean that you are a negative person. But what if these negative emotions were a way to get you onto something better? If it was pointing you to a better direction that you need to take in your life? Try to entertain this thought that the negative emotions are there to help us so we could express a higher state of being. By feeling and releasing out negative emotions, what if it was our soul's way of communicating that this is not who we are? We are more loving, kind, and our essence is so much higher. Once I had this change in perspective and the way I started looking at negative emotions, I knew that I needed to do a couple of things. In my case, I quit my job and I started a business, my first direct sales business. And I'm not suggesting that you go and quit your job, but in my case, it made sense and it felt right for me to do that. In addition, I started doing a couple of things that helped reduce my anxiety and got me to a much better place emotionally. Now, let's discuss some practical habits that are going to make it simpler for you to release negative emotions in a healthy manner. The first one is to accept your negative emotions. Now, instead of trying to ignore the fact that you are feeling angry, frustrated, bitter, or any of those lower emotions, it will help you if you were to simply accept the way that you're feeling. So, for example, when I would feel a surge of negativity, I would sit with myself and simply say, okay, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling bitter. Rather than trying to sugarcoat your feelings even to yourself, it would do you so much good to accept how you're feeling. The only rule that I had was I'm allowed to accept how I feel, I'm allowed to say out aloud how I'm feeling, but I would not take it out on someone else. Second is to investigate your emotions. Once you've started accepting how you feel and what emotions come up for you, it is important that you investigate what these emotions are trying to convey to you, because they are. For example, if you're feeling jealousy towards someone, instead of asking yourself, why am I feeling this emotion of jealousy? What you could do perhaps is to try and figure out what this jealousy is trying to bring up for you. What you see in someone else, in the way they are achieving something, in the way they are doing something, is perhaps an indication that that is something that you want to do. That is something that you want to get inspired by. So instead of looking at your jealousy as a negative emotions, what you could do is, wow, I really am inspired by this person. So that is one way of investigating what your negative emotions may be trying to communicate to you. And finally, third is making a choice. Now, one of the biggest lessons in life that I have learned is that I have a choice in every situation. So after I have accepted my negative emotions, and after I have tried to figure out what these negative emotions are trying to communicate to me, I dial in and ask myself, what choice am I going to make about these negative emotions? You get to choose how you feel in no matter any situation that you are in. If you choose to believe that you don't have a choice, then what you're essentially doing or saying to yourself is that you are a victim. And that is not an empowered way of living. So I always try to dial into my personal power, and I suggest that you do the same, because you have a choice. And every time you're experiencing negative emotions, you have a choice whether you want to give into the darkness and allow those negative emotions to take you lower and lower and make you feel horrible and miserable, or you can choose to look at those negative emotions in a way that, what are they trying to teach me here? Where are they trying to guide me? And at the end of it, I still get to choose whether I want to continue feeling those negative emotions, or do I release them in the most healthy way that I know how. And of course, it is not going to be easy, and it is a continuous process. But if you do choose to look at your negative emotions, accept them, try to figure out what they're trying to tell you, and then make a healthy choice for yourself, it will become a healthy practice. These were some of the practical habits that have really helped me release negative emotions. Now, I'd like to hear from you. What did you think of this episode? If you liked it, give it a like. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. If you're listening to this on our podcast, be sure to follow us and share it with a friend. And before I go, if you haven't already heard the news that we have finally opened the waitlist for our signature program, Strategy for Goals. So head over to this link and make sure that you get on it, because if you do, you get exclusive benefits and discounts that aren't offered anywhere else. So be sure to join the waitlist. Thank you so much for watching or listening till here. I will meet you next week in the next episode. Till then, remember, what you want matters, and it's really up to you to make it happen. Take good care of yourself. I'll see you soon.